Hey, Jeremiah,
Yeah?
let's put together some Legos.
Yeah, look what I made here.
Oh, wow. Vertical lift.
You know, Rex, the last time that we played with Legos like this was way back when we had Jody on the show. Do you remember that?
That's right. Wonder what she's doing now.
Hmm.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Movement Maker Show, the show where we highlight people doing cool things throughout the company and everywhere because we're coming from our room. I'm Rex Williams.
And I'm Jeremiah Von Smith. And welcome to episode 37.
Yes, 37.
Wow.
We're still doing it. We're still doing it. Hang in there. We're coming from our homes, and because we can still do an episode, and we're excited about our guest today. We always have great guests.
Yes.
This one is doing some really cool things, and you're going to learn about her story, and she may be familiar to you. So let's give it up for Jody Patel.
Good morning.
Yes, just like last episode, rolling in.
On the chair with my wheels.
Wow, so thanks so much for being willing to meet with us, Jody, and talk about what's going on. For those of you who don't know, Jody was in episode 17. Quite a few episodes ago when she was at Boeing, and she was our Lego expert. We had fun with Legos. She really taught us a lot about how she used Legos to thinking and solving problems, and it was awesome. Communicating, that's right. So after that, this is part of our, I forgot to do this in the intro. This is part of our Where Are They Now series. We're interviewing past guests and finding out what's going on in their life and hearing their story. So, Jody, what do you do now?
So yeah, I started my own company, and so it's been about a year and a half. My company's called Spill, and it's an organizational design consultancy. And I work with leaders and teams that are going through changes, that are transforming, and who want help going through that transformation. And as you remember, I'm a specialist in creativity and creative thinking. And so I really use containers and methods that are creative in nature to help my clients develop more resilient cultures, more adaptable cultures, and more creative, compelling strategies. So culture, who we are, the stories that we tell each other about who we are, our history, how we conduct ourselves, what matters to us. And then strategy, where we're going, what's our vision, how do we get there? Is it a vision that's compelling, that's emotional, that anybody on the team could tell you just like that without having to think about it? And is everybody aligned around that strategy? Wow. So that's the work that I do. And yeah, I'm doing it. So it's
that
really
is so
exciting.
Cool.
Really exciting.
So exciting. So it's and you've been doing it for a year and a half now.
I've been doing it for a year and a half. Yeah, so let's see. I left Boeing in October 2018. And, you know, that year was, it was a crazy year for me personally. When I talk about transformation, I talk about how it's so, like how personal transformation is such a key component of collective transformation. And so many of us transform the most through crisis. And, you know, it's funny, like, no matter who you talk to, and this is something we don't typically talk about in our work lives, but you know, when we go through struggles individually, with our families, with our work, with our health, those are the kinds of events in our life that really propel us to a better version of ourselves. And so in 2018, I was struggling. Like, I was at Boeing, and on the surface things were great. Like, I was in management, I was winning awards, I was invited to facilitate executive offsite retreats, and recognized as an up and coming first line manager and on multiple executive succession plans. So on the surface things were great, but inside I was really struggling. I was struggling with chronic pain, with burnout. I had 2 little kids at home, and it would just all got to be too much. And so I ended up unplugging and taking some time off that summer to just regroup and really think about what I wanted to do. And I decided, it was a really tough decision. I decided to leave Boeing because at the end of the day, I didn't see myself being able to put my health at the top of the list while also pursuing my career goals there. And I figured, you know, if I don't do this now, I probably never will. And I have great relationships at Boeing, and I don't know that, you know, I feel like if I ever did want to come back, that would be possible. So so I decided to leave. I took a leap of faith, and it was the scariest thing I've ever done. And the first 6 months after I started my business were tough. I mean, I basically had to unlearn a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And not just like objective stuff, like I'm not talking about like, you know, habits and, well, I am talking about habits, but I'm not talking about just superficial stuff. I'm talking about really deep beliefs. I had to unlearn a lot of those things and then rebuild something, my business, my identity from a new place, like from a blank canvas. So so I did it, and the first 6 months were tough. Like, I had to reestablish myself as somebody with knowledge. All of the credibility and the influence that I had was just gone.
Starting from zero, right? On the outside.
It was hard. Like, a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of like, holy crap, did I do the right thing? Like, can I do this? But, you know, slowly you just start with one step at a time. I put myself out there. I did a lot of experimentation. I started a podcast. I got my first 4 clients. So in my first year of business, I had 4 clients. My first client was the Gates Foundation. And
wow, that's a pretty good client. Well, wait a minute. Oh, by the way, we just got the Gates Foundation. No big deal.
I know. So, yeah.
How did you do that?
Well, it's just through contacts, right? And so one of the first things I did, like before I could go out and win work, I really had to nurture my network. I mean, they say, and we all know, like, it's all about relationships that start with relationships. It's true. Yeah. So I just went out there. I've been to a lot of conferences. I've networked with the local Seattle tech community and just been talking to people who are leading in across sectors, but especially in tech, about what's important to them. Like, what are the struggles, what are the challenges that the tech community is talking about right now? And how do I, as a consultant, design an offering and design a service offering that's relevant to the biggest challenges of our time? And so if you're a design thinking person, you know, I was going out and doing my research. So I was going out, I was talking to people while building relationships. I was listening, like, what matters to you? And so all of that, like, foundational work really helped inform me, my business, as well as help me just connect to people and meet people. And I've met some amazing people just out in the wider world. And I got out of the Boeing bubble, and there's a lot of really interesting conversations happening in our community and a lot of really important things happening. And I feel grateful to be a part of that. Yeah.
In this quarantine thing, I've been involved in some other groups and meetings, and you know, I just realized that, like, meeting with a bunch of strangers is like a kick for me. It's just like, you know, when you're gathered around a certain purpose, it's not like complete random people. It's people that are interested in a particular meeting, you know, subject or something. But you're learning together, and you're getting to know people. And with the Zoom meetings that I've had, that they do breakouts where you break out into just a group of 2 or 3 people. And then you have like a conversation with those people, and then you go back to the main group and talk about it. And it's been really cool. And I think, yeah, in Seattle, there's so much happening and there's so much going on, even, in this quarantine time. I mean, tell us about that? Did it thwart your business at all or throw any
Yeah.
roadblocks?
Well, I did have a couple of events lined up that had to get postponed, and they're mostly speaking engagements. So in addition to consulting, I've been doing public speaking.
Yeah.
And I was going to do a talk at Google, and that got postponed indefinitely.
Oh.
So I lost a couple of opportunities, but I decided to write a book in February, right before all this pandemic stuff went down. And what I've been doing is just saying, you know what, this is kind of what I was meant to do during this time. So I've been leaning into my writing. I have put business development on the back burner for a few months so that I can focus on the writing that I want to do. But I also have been like, I can't not do other stuff.
Yeah.
I've been hosting a weekly community leadership call for the people in my network, for the people who follow me. And Rex, you showed up to one of those.
You bet. Yeah, I somehow got connected. Well, we were connected, when you left, and so I just stayed loosely connected. But I saw that, and hey, that looks interesting. I want to join that, and it was really, really cool. I'm really learning a lot through that.
Well, it's interesting because it feels like the rug has been pulled out from under us in terms of our ability to collaborate.
Yeah.
And so what's happening in this moment right now, which is a humongous, significant global event that will change the trajectory of human history forever. Like,
for sure,
this is a pivotal time in our lives. And there's basically, from a transformation perspective, there's a huge potential for us to shift. So again, like for those of you who are into organizational change or social science, like that what truly influences our behavior is our beliefs and our mindsets and the stories that we tell ourselves about the world. And through this time, there's great potential for us to change our beliefs. You see it happening, like more people are questioning the way things were. What's the new normal going to be? People are hungry for a new paradigm. And so there's an opportunity for us to change through this. But how do we do that if we can't collaborate, like in person, in a room together? And so I've been hosting this weekly call and hosting and attending other virtual events to teach people how to collaborate through these times. There are ways that we can use Zoom or other technologies to collaborate, to overcome those challenges, because we can't ignore the opportunity in front of us right now. Like, we have to move into that space and figure it out. And my webcam keeps like blowing down.
Oh, that's so funny. No, that's totally fine. Figure it out. That thing that happens.
But yeah, like ultimately I just, I'm teaching people how to like play games, to play virtual games that using in Zoom calls to get people participating, to break down those barriers and to collaborate across boundaries. So I'm excited. I feel called to serve, and I'm really just more than anything curious to see how we collectively step into this moment and don't feel afraid, and just really just step into it with open hearts, open minds, and with our full creativity and our creative power. So yes.
So a lot of our viewers are collaborative type of people, and they'd probably be really interested in your events. Is this something that anyone can join, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's open to the intended audience for the weekly circles are, if you were to imagine a Venn diagram, they are organizational development practitioners, so experts in transformation, and then leaders, business leaders, community leaders, those that want to cultivate leadership and lead people, whether that's in informal or formal roles. So email me, and we can share that, and I'll add you to the weekly invite list. It's on Thursdays at 12. I also have a mailing list because I'm writing a book. So I'm just starting to get that together too, so I can share the list if folks want to follow me and stay connected to that. And I'm also teaching an Ed Wells class in July. So,
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah.
Wow,
on
that is
July
so
18th.
cool.
So the title is Communication for Disruption, and it's about how to communicate when your ideas are different and when they're unique, and how to communicate with impact. So yeah, lots of things, lots of ways to stay connected, and I can share
Yeah, we'll definitely put your links in this post below. So yeah, anybody that's interested in following Jody and learning from her, it's great. Go ahead and reach
Yeah,
out.
thank you.
And to join your book or your list for the book, we'll put a link. Do you have a page or?
I do.
What?
I have a just a sign up page where you can sign up for my newsletter. And yeah,
Okay.
the book is a really interesting and awesome project. I'm excited about it. The working title is Mutants: How Individuals and Organizations Adapt to the New World. And it's about
Nice.
how
Mutants. I love
mutants.
it.
Now, like, what do you think of when you hear the word mutant? Like weirdo, misfit, freak. And
Ninja Turtles.
right?
Sorry, dating myself. That was before that, but yeah.
Oh my goodness. No, yeah, but people have this like perspective of mutants or mutations being weird, being uncomfortable. And I believe that mutations really are how life has persisted over millennia, and we need to embrace different people, creative thinkers, diverse thinkers, and create space for that. And then we also need to create organizations and develop like team cultures that promote those edge cases, that promote experimentation. And instead of us feeling like threatened or defensive of what came before, like really opening ourselves up to that. But yeah, I'm telling stories. I'm telling my Boeing stories. And I actually talked to Dennis O'Donoghue, who I know that you loved. I interviewed him.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah.
Episode 11? Episode 11? You bet.
Right.
Uncle Dennis.
But Dennis is a mutant, right? Like, so he led BT&E through a transformation in 2008 where he brought together teams that from the commercial, from BCA and from BPS, from defense. And for the first time ever, these teams were housed under one organization, BT&E. Yeah. And I was in BT&E at the time as an engineer, as a flight test engineer during that transformation. And I was actually going through my master's program in organizational design at the time. And Dennis was like one of the leaders in organizational change. And I remember he spoke at a systems thinking and action conference about what he was doing at BT&E. But I use like the Russian doll analogy. Like if you imagine like a series of Russian dolls like nested inside of each other, I basically through my years at BT&E had a chance to go through various transformations from the biggest Russian doll, the BT&E transformation. And then in the years that followed, I worked as on the technical excellence team doing employee development for flight test engineers across the enterprise. So I got to work with defense teams, testing F-18s and Apache helicopters and satellites down in El Segundo, and then of course our commercial teams up here. So I had a really neat opportunity to kind of visit different parts of the company and to see how culture and development and strategy and how the flavors were kind of different across the enterprise. And then in the years that followed, I got to work on progressively more impactful transformations at the smaller level and at the team level. So I tell those stories in the book, and I just think that there's a lot of learning there. You know, Boeing is going through its own set of challenges right now, and there's a lot emerging too. Like I think through the challenges, especially the layoffs and the uncertainty, there's also cultural shifts taking place with like millennials becoming managers, and there are more future thinking executives at Boeing than there have ever been. And that's really exciting. I think that change at Boeing is slow, and when you're in it, it's hard to see the forest for the trees, right? And so that's like when I talk to my Boeing friends now, I'm like, whoa, it's been a couple of years since I've been there. And so I'm like, whoa, that's really different. And they're like, it's nice to talk to you about this because you're reminding us that we're actually making progress. Because sometimes you don't give yourself credit for the progress you make at Boeing because it is so slow. But it's happening.
That is a good point. Yeah, yeah. No, it's true. We need to highlight that because we always have that mindset of like we're slow and behind the times and stuff, but there are things that are happening that are really cutting edge, and not everybody recognizes it for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, man, we could keep talking. I don't know if we're out of time. Did you start the timer? How long has it been?
Let me get on my egg timer here.
25 minutes. I could chit chat for a little bit else. Let me ask you a question. How about this? Because
turning the tables.
Turn the tables, shift it upside down. So, one of the cool things people have been doing through this pandemic is leaning into their creative practices. And I love this stuff, but I believe that engaging in creative practices helps us open our mind to divergent thinking. It helps us get into a state of creative flow. A lot of people I've been talking to are doing or trying new things through this pandemic.
Yeah, right.
Let me ask you two, what have you been doing with yourselves to promote your own creativity, to find peace, to maybe shut out the world a little bit, to do some self-care, to nourish yourselves? What does your own creativity look like right now?
That's a good question. I've been trying to write too, not as much as I thought I would. We got all this time. We'll just do all this, everything I've ever wanted to do, right? It hasn't happened that way. But a couple of things. I do write just kind of in the mornings to try to get my mind going. This creative flow writing, just dump out whatever's in my mind.
Morning pages.
Yeah, morning pages. That's what it's called. Yeah. Yeah, I do that, and sometimes I'll draw. I love writing in a big blank page with no lines, so I can write as big as I want or small or draw things. It's kind of my artistic outlet. So that's.
How does that help you, Rex? How does that? What do you find changes in your day and how you show up through doing morning pages and through writing and?
Well, things come to mind that don't come unless you start writing. You're like, I don't know what to write. Well, I'm writing. I don't know what to write. And you just write what's on your mind, especially when you wake up.
Yes.
And stuff will just come out. Where did that come from? I don't know, but I was writing, and then I decided to write this other thought that came to my mind, and so it's really cool process that helps clear my mind and helps reveal things to me that I didn't realize. And just learn things from myself. So I think it's a great practice.
Yeah, no, it is. It's called Morning Pages, and they're from a book called The Art This Way by Julie Cameron. And the morning pages are great for a number of reasons because they help you overcome your own creative blocks. A lot of creativity is about overcoming your own just blocks. What am
not good enough.
I don't even know if it's going to be good enough. The voices in your head, they get overwhelming. So morning pages, especially when you wake up, you just let it out, and it gets you in a trajectory that's very creative for the day. So high five.
Yeah. And I like the whole pen and paper, tactile kind of thing too. A lot of times I think, man, I could type so much faster and I could get so much more done if I was typing it, but it's just it's not the same. And I like just writing and drawing, and sometimes I'll and when I write, as an engineer, you're try to be efficient, so I'm using all the space available, and then I'm like, so stupid, I'm gonna write big and I'm gonna leave a bunch of blank space and I'm gonna start on the next page,
Yes.
It's so sometimes I'll do crazy stuff like that.
That's awesome. Well done. And how about you, Jeremiah?
Yeah, so for me, it's about disrupting my day a bit, because it's so easy right now to get into a routine of I walk out of my bed, I live in a small place, I walk 30 feet to my table where I do my work, and I maybe get coffee and come back, and I never leave that space. And so for me, it's just, I have to just get out of that. And so I've been getting back into running a bit, which is something I had to give up for a couple of years. And so I go for like a lunchtime run, and it feels really good. I kind of like, it kind of forces you just to think about what's just like really present for you at that moment. And
Yeah.
I come back really refreshed from that. Like physically you feel good, but mentally you just kind of cleared everything. And my thinking just comes out a lot better after I do that. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's helped me a lot.
You're disrupting your routine. You know, that's an example of personal disruption. And it's another really good way to promote creative thinking is breaking up your routine. Like routine is the enemy of creativity.
That is good.
I applaud you, Jeremiah, for disrupting your routine and also the mind-body connection too, right? So this is something I've been doing a lot of research into, but our minds don't exist in isolation. Like our minds are very much connected to our bodies, and our bodies are flooded with hormones and different chemicals that affect our mood and affect our neurology, like, and how our brain and our brain networks are firing, how our synapses are firing. So there's actually, it's really good to get into your body and to tune into what you're feeling, because there's a lot of data in your body about where you're holding tension, if you're stressed, and movement is so important to our thinking. So high five, Jeremiah.
Yeah, high five. Good stuff. Well, thanks so much, Jody. We're so glad to have you here, to be able to have you on the show, and so glad to hear that things are going well, and especially in this time of transformation, right? We're all transforming, and that things are definitely going to be different after this. They're different now, you know. So
I can't wait for that new book. We'll be watching for that. I'm really excited for it. It sounds great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate both of your support, and I'm proud of you and the work that you're doing too. You know, like sometimes when you are a mutant and you're at the tip of the spear doing work that's different, you feel like an island. Like, and I'm sure you guys feel this too. Like, is anybody paying attention? Is anybody listening? Like, am I making a difference? And let me just say, like, you are, and there's probably like way more people that value you and the work that you're doing than you're aware of. So thank you for keeping this going, for doing what you do, and for being voices of different divergent thinking in an ocean where it's just so needed. So I'm proud of you both. Well done.
wow.
Thank you for that. That felt really good.
Thanks so much, Jody. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, we just do stuff that we think is interesting, and then, we don't think that it makes much difference sometimes, but we know it's good, and we get lots of great feedback from the viewers, so we really appreciate that.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you both the best. Thank you so much for having me on, and let's do this again sometime. This is fun.
For sure.
We'd love to have you back on, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, thanks so much, and good luck with your book and all your efforts. We hope it's super successful.
I appreciate that. Take care.
Okay, thanks. And thanks everyone for watching. Go be a movement maker like Jody. She's doing it. There is life after Boeing, right?
That's right.
It's true.
It's possible. We don't know what it's like yet, but Jody knows.
What I wish I could show more of is these really nice beans you've been growing. I do have a green barbecue. I could green screen my barbecue. That'd be kind of fun.
We're good. We're cooking. We're hanging out. We're hiking. I'm writing a book.
I'm a bobblehead.
Collaboration.
That's not what seeing, you know, you got to look at the, there's a bunch of boys that decided, how many can we fit in the porta potty? There's
That's
like
disgusting.
14 or 17. It was the grossest thing. I couldn't believe it.
Still coming out.
They keep coming out.
It makes me want to throw up in my mouth.